Okay, don't show this again. Very good. Okay, great. Thank you. I am recording. This is really maybe the key point today. Emotion runs the show. Emotions run the show. So over the next few minutes, I just wanted to give you a little bit of the science behind that, but then also some strategies that you can use because spoiler alert, if emotions run the show, the number one influence is the leader. Whether you've got the title or maybe you don't have the title, but you have this level of influence, you can absolutely influence the group. So I want you to think about for just a moment over the course of your life when there have been what I call no matter what moments. Like, no matter what, you are finishing this degree or finishing that race or getting out of debt or getting healthy or beating this diagnosis. It shows up in so many different ways, but I do want you to reflect over the course of your life up until now. What for you has been a no matter what moment? To quote the great philosopher Tom Petty, those moments where you think you can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down. I mean, those kind of unstoppable moments. So hopefully you've got one in your head and you go back there because that's a great moment. And then I want you to think about the opposite. When have you had those freak show moments? Okay, like maybe you didn't end up on the 10 o'clock news, but it definitely wasn't an example of you being your best self and living out your highest level of character. All right, so these are kind of what I call Einstein moments, and these are more like Frankenstein moments. Okay, so I want you to think about both ends of that because really we've all been there where we accomplish something great and then there are times where you just lose your absolute you know what, right? Because we're human, we all do it. And here's what I want you to think about for just a moment, because I'm going to send you into just a super quick 5-minute breakout, but it gives you a chance to talk to somebody else in this group. And here's what I want you to reflect on. What did both of those moments have in common? And maybe it's many things, right? It doesn't have to be just one thing, but what do those moments have in common? And how does that insight potentially inform how you lead and influence others? So when you get your breakout, I'm going to show you this screen so you don't have to remember what you're doing once you get there. But I think those breakouts are ready to roll. And I will see you back here. We're going to teleport. See you back here in 5 minutes. Okay, 3, 2, 1. See you back here soon. And for those who may not be able to break out, hang in there. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging in there with us. Good morning, Cody. They're in breakouts right now, so we'll be back in about 2 minutes. 2 and 2.
Thanks, Chuck Woolery. I remember that. That dates us both, but I remember. Sorry, I'm late today.
So, we had them think about no matter what moments when you're unstoppable and freak show moments where you lose your, ever loving mind. And this is what they're talking about in breakout right now.
Gotcha. Thank you. Hey, by the way, we're excited that you're going to be facilitating um, our whatever that thing is that we've got coming up. My mind would blank, but we're
I'm
excited about it.
super excited too. I'm so excited. And it's just been so neat to meet with the team and everything. They're
We
great.
we have yes, God has blessed me. I have an awesome uh, team of folks that I work with, and I took me a long time to get here, but and I don't know that this is my final resting place, but I do appreciate. I appreciate the folks. I've never worked with brighter, kinder, more talented people. I feel like I work with a whole bunch of Kathy Joneses.
Doesn't get any better than
No,
that.
I mean, there's only one Kathy Jones, we all know, but
That's right.
yeah.
That's awesome. I've just thoroughly enjoyed, like, they're fun and it's been great. So I'm very honored and thank you for throwing my name in the pot.
Oh my gosh, that's my goal always. I'm always looking for work for you and Christine.
Well, thank you.
Wherever I can plug y'all in.
We appreciate it.
And I don't just throw you out there for just anybody. I mean, like,
Okay.
I'm like
Only the best.
only the best. And it wasn't like it might have been a slight challenge because I mean, you and I had several conversations back and forth. I know you had several conversations with the team. How do you take this sort of internal development to that next level? And that's a challenge.
Yeah. Hi, Guillermo.
Hello.
How are you today?
Doing good. Doing good.
Awesome.
How about yourself?
Doing good. We're actually in Boston today. So, and the weather's
That's fun.
beautiful here right now. So, hopefully, no rain.
Yeah.
Because I'm seeing Coldplay tonight and it's outside. So, no
Oh,
rain.
nice. Nice. No rain, no rain, no rain.
Yeah. I think everybody's coming back together. Yep, the gang's all here. So, just curious, as you guys are coming back, and by the way, we put you in a room with the smartest people. So just so you know, like that was by design. Well, as you had a discussion, what were just some of the nuggets of what those two things have in common and how it informs how you lead and influence others?
For me, I think if you come in with a positive in the morning, I think that really influences other people. They can see that. And that's what we were talking about. I said, for the most part, I'm a pretty positive person and it kind of starts the day off right that way. Um, on the negative part is if I'm having a bad day, they see it right off the bat.
Exactly.
So no
Uh,
pressure, but that's kind of how.
yes. Yeah, thank you, Steve. That's so good. Yes, yes, and yes. Anybody else? Just a nugget out of your discussion.
Yeah. Hi, Sherry. This is Beverly.
Hi,
My
Beverly.
hi. My partner and I had very similar insights, and that's basically, you know, everything you do, you can learn from, and a lot of times, the things that you don't like to do, you learn the most from, and you take that and pair it with what you think you'd like to do. So it boils down to really a quote that I love from the thinker, and it's nothing is a waste of time if you learn from the experience. And that's kind of paraphrased, but just taking everything that you've gained from each and every experience and applying that as you move forward.
That's so good. And I mean, if you're here at whatever your time, like 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, in the morning, like you're probably someone who has that mindset
Mhm.
all the time. And the key is like, how do we get more of that in, and not only for ourselves, but the people that we work with? Uh, that's so good. When I think about this whole idea of how our brains work best, because in the end, if we lead, learn, and live the way the brain works best, we get better results with less effort. And there's some things that sometimes just feel intuitive to us, but I wanted to break down just a few things. First of all, we talk about these three big deals. If you know nothing else about your brain, that you're very aware of these three big deals. One being that your prefrontal cortex is priceless. And when you have lots of activity in the prefrontal cortex, like Steve having that better attitude, or um, uh, you know, uh, or Beverly asking those kinds of questions is just easier, right? This is a part of your brain that when it's there's lots of activity here, the things that you can expect is that people have greater empathy. There's better collaboration. People are more fluid, they're more creative, they see lots and lots and lots of options. This is you being your best self in so many ways. And big deal number two, we talk a lot about here, because I think this may be the number one thing that we get, is the power of how threat can shut everything down. So when I'm under threat or stress, we can go, what I can predict is that people get really defensive, they get overly committed to being right, they feel stuck, can't see solutions. We start looking for an enemy. There's got to be somebody to blame in all of this. I mean, it's just the way our brains are wired. And really, the big difference maker is big deal number three, which is that emotion really does run the show. Emotion, we could go into how it fuels learning and retention and all of those things. But the big deal around emotion is that it can kind of, I think I have a slide here. I like to think about this image of, it's like fuel. It can fuel the worst part of ourselves. So, if you are in that bad mood or you've got a lot going on in your life, this is default setting. And, that's one of the things that's so important, why it's so critical to keep developing your people, because default mode, factory setting, is to go to this place of threat, and that leads to freak show moments. And emotion, though, can fuel that prefrontal cortex, and when we do that, this is where we do get better results with less effort. That's where breakthroughs really do happen. And so I wanted to just share a couple of things that may be helpful, and then some practical strategies. One is that you have body systems that are what we call closed loop systems. They're more like a thermostat. In other words, it's not influenced by external factors. So, like, I can't influence your glucose level, I can't change your oxygen level, I can't have an influence over your body temperature. But emotions, our emotional system is an open loop system. So I can absolutely influence your emotions. So Steve's spot on. I mean, the attitude that I bring into it, you might have heard the quote, emotions are contagious. Have you made anyone sick lately? Because I can influence that. Sometimes in the literature, it might be called interbrain synchrony or neural coupling, but it's a phenomenal. I mean, really, it's pretty darn fascinating. And I want to be sure that I'm sharing my sound here because I wanted to show you a quick clip of these. You might have also read about mirror neurons, but it's our ability to truly connect with people. You've probably been in those conversations where you just connected and like you were just one mind. But the truth is, if we'd been looking at the two brains when you're in those kind of conversations, you really would start to see the start to synchronize. The activity starts to synchronize. So this is just a precious example of what this looks like.
Mommy's gonna sing you a song. You want Mommy to sing a song, honey? Let me know how you feel about the song, okay? I don't want you to come round here no more. I beg you for mercy. You don't know how strong my weakness is, or how much it hurts me. 'Cause when you say it's over with her, I want to believe that's true. So I let you in, knowing tomorrow I'm gonna wake up missing you, wake up missing you, when the one you love's in love with someone else. Don't you know it's torture? I mean, it's a living hell. No matter how I try to convince myself, this time I won't lose control. So I let you in, knowing tomorrow I'm gonna wake up missing you, wake up missing you. Oh, you feel the pain in the song, eh, honey? Big tears. You crying? Oh, you crying, monkey. Okay, Mom.
So cute. But the truth is, this idea of influence, the word flu, right? The root word of influence literally means to flow. So what you're bringing to that next team meeting or what you're bringing to your day really is flowing into others. And, so we're either going to influence for the good or influence for the bad. So what we don't want to be is like secondhand smoke around the people that we work with. And there's so many good studies. One in particular was in 2010 that really took a look at who is the number one influence in the room. And when it comes to teams and things of that nature, well, all of us have the ability, but the number one influence is the leader. Okay, so back to that's why you get paid the big bucks, but you don't get a pass on resetting. Like it's so important that you're paying attention to what is the energy that you're bringing into that meeting. So if you're thinking about influencing others right now so that you get more of this flow and less resistance, here are just some strategies that I think might be helpful. And I wanted to walk through those for just a second. And then I'm saving the best for last. So like it's a game changer. The first strategy that I want you to just think about is, what is your current brand? How have people experienced you already? I mean, are you the person walking in that's elevating the mood in the room, or are you, they've just been used to you walking around blowing your secondhand smoke on everybody? Okay. Because the truth is, our past experiences are shaping our beliefs. And that's true when it comes to you. You already have a brand. So the question, becomes, what is that current brand? Are you known for that person that, gives people energy, elevates the mood in a room? Or are you known for that person that when you call someone and your name pops up on their phone, other people go, not right now. I don't have anything. I'll put them off till later. So you have to ask yourself, how have people experienced you in the past? If you're not sure, go ask a couple of people. The second thing that I wanted you to think about not only is your brand, but your choice. Are you making a conscious choice every single day on how you're showing up, or making a conscious choice before you go into that meeting? What kind of attitude, what kind of energy do you want to bring? Your team doesn't need a perfect leader. Sometimes they need a calm leader, or they need an optimistic leader. So really stepping back and asking, as I look at my day and what I have ahead for me, what way of being do I want to bring into this and maintain? Or it might be just that next meeting where it might get a little bit rough, so that you're so intentional and so mindful of what you're doing. Another area that should be like number 3, I think, instead of 4, but don't worry about that, is the very fact, if you can name the emotion, it can actually allow you to reset. So just being able to identify. So sometimes we talk about, what's the difference between emotion and feelings? Well, the emotion means what's biologically happening. And if you wanted to cheat on this, you can use dashes, all right, to help you remember what are the core emotions. If you saw the movie Inside Out, there really are people that study core emotions. And one of the consultants for that movie has studied cultures from all over the world, and some of them they didn't even have access to other cultures. They're that remote. They still had the same core emotions. So that's a way. I had to cheat on fear. I couldn't figure out anything else. So, but you might remember that. So the feelings is really the meaning you give the emotion. So I love that distinction. Emotion is what's happening inside of you. The feeling is the meaning that you're giving it. So let's back into it then, even if we're asking, what meaning am I giving this feeling? And then backing up into, what's the real emotion that I'm experiencing? Just being able to identify that allows that threat to decrease and the prefrontal cortex to increase. I think that's pretty interesting. Okay, now we're at number 4. Okay. One is ask better questions. So, Beverly, thank you for sharing that quote with us. You might have read some work by Tasha Europe, who was looking at how self-aware people are. Well, she discovers that most people aren't, even though they think they are. But the more important thing about what she discovers is that people who are self-aware, they don't ask these kinds of questions. Who can I blame? Why me? Whose fault is it? Right? They don't self-abuse. I mean, how many of you would say you're the worst boss anybody could ever work for? In other words, you're the worst boss of you. Would you work for anybody who talks to you like you talk to you? Right? So they don't self-abuse. They don't like go into this place of blaming themselves even. They ask different questions. They ask more around, what meaning am I giving this? What meaning, what patterns am I seeing? What am I noticing? What do I want to learn here? Because Beverly, that quote could not have been any better. You're spot on. If we can ask those kinds of questions, we're going to have a better influence on those around us. It's easier for us to stay calm. It's hardwired that we don't go to those freak show moments. So maybe one of the things that you want to do this week as you think about influencing others and keeping your own head straight first is asking different questions. Yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to share with you is this is neural sequencing. So there's an order in which, especially when we are influencing, that we want to move. And it's counter to how most of us do that, especially when our brain is under threat. So to me, this is such an important nugget. So we talked about the prefrontal cortex. Big deal number 1, big deal number 2 is threat, big deal number 3 is emotion. So let's say you're trying to lead your team through a change right now, or, maybe somebody at home, you're trying to influence them or motivate them to do something different. Or maybe you're in a disagreement with someone right now and you're trying to get them to see your point of view. This is oftentimes how we approach it, and it's all wrong. Okay, we try to reason with people and give them all the facts and figures. I just think about if you've got a teenager in your life right now, if your teenager came home and said, "Hey, I'm going to this party this weekend and we're going to get wasted," or whatever they might say. I don't know. They probably wouldn't be honest about that. But let's just say they're going to this party this weekend. We could start reasoning with them. Oh, all the reasons why this is a bad idea. What is the likelihood that they're going to go, "Well, thank you, Mom, for bringing that to my attention. I never considered that." The truth is, we know that's not going to happen. Because what really happens sometimes if we start with reasoning, especially if there's already a little bit of threat and people are already defensive, all you're doing is triggering their brain to listen for disagreement. You're creating more resistance. If I start giving you all the facts and figures and such, and then I expect you to relate to me and go, "Oh, thank you so much for pointing out the error of my ways," instead of going in the direction of reasoning, relate, and expecting people to regulate. We want it, that's like going the wrong way down a one-way street. Instead, I want you to think about, first of all, regulate yourself, remembering that it's an open loop system. You can influence others. So let's take that teenager coming in. Maybe regulating looks like taking a few deep breaths. Maybe it is, getting up, moving around. It's checking in with yourself. Regulate. Because only then can we expect to relate. So here are a few ideas about this relate. Every brain is tuned into the station WIIFM. What's in it for me? So if I really want to relate to someone, I got to self-regulate because my brain might be under threat too, right? So we want to get all that settled in. I want to think about a choice that I want to make. I want to breathe. I want to be sure that I'm in a place where I can be curious. Remember, when your brain's under threat, curiosity can go out the window real fast. We get stuck. So making sure, even if you're standing up and kind of moving back, like just remembering to open up a bigger space when you find yourself getting stuck. To relate, we got to figure out and listen what is important to them. What makes this important to them right now? Because in addition to being tuned into the station WIIFM, people's brains either want off of Pain Island or they want on to Pleasure Island, right? Usually they don't care about the boat that's going to take them there. So what is the current pain for them? Maybe it's a change you're leading with your team. What's important to your team in this change? How will it eliminate pain? How will it help them get to pleasure faster? And what do they want? What's important to them here? Remember, it's not necessarily always what's important to you. It's what's important to them if we're going to relate. So in that scene, if there had been asking more questions than trying to come up with solutions or to reason with her more, you're likely to get better cooperation, and only because this is how the brain is wired. So let's work with it, not against it. And relating to is, how does that make sense to them? Because it does make sense to them. Whether that is resistance that you're seeing, or whether it is that teenager wanting to go to that party, like, what about that makes sense? And then and only then do we have even the option of getting to reasoning. So when we can regulate and we can relate, we're not triggering the brain as much to listen for disagreement, because we're meeting people where they are, which triggers the brain to listen for agreement. So I just want you to think about that right now. What a change that you're leading, or where you're needing to influence. What would it look like to regulate, relate, and then hopefully we can get to reason. Now, there is fine print on this screen, and sometimes you can do it all the right way and you don't get to reasoning. There's still difference of opinion, but you certainly have increased the likelihood of getting to that success faster. Okay, so I just want to do a quick recap. Emotions run the show. Emotions that should be an open loop system. It's not a closed loop. We can influence those around us, and the number one influence is you. And imagine to be able to build that connection faster eliminates a lot of unnecessary drama and costs. That starts by managing yourself. That's the regulation part. And then the other thing, just keep in mind, is let's regulate, then let's relate, and then we get to reasoning. Okay, so I'm going to hang around if you guys want to and talk, but I'll tell you, if there's any way we can support you, that's what we do every day. So let us know. Hopefully there's some opportunities that you've gotten some different groups, but know that we're here to support you as well. We'll always send out this recording. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and just kind of field some questions or thoughts about how you